This is an AASHTO Transportation TV News update. Coverage of the 2022 Transportation Research Board annual meeting. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting.
Welcome to the session, State DOT.
AASHTO President for 2021-2022, Dr. Shawn Wilson, Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, led a State DOT Chief Executive Roundtable entitled State DOTs Creating Pathways to Equity. Wilson, who in 2021 was elected AASHTO's first African-American president in the association's 107-year history, has made equity one of his key presidential emphasis areas.
It's just exciting to hear folks say this isn't a one-and-done issue. Creating a pathway to this issue is going to be the most sustainable thing that we can do, and I think folks are on board with that.
Hundreds were in attendance as Dr. Wilson shared the stage with panelist Vince Williams, president of the National League of Cities, and the mayor of Union City, Georgia, Toks Omishakin, director of the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and Yassmin Gramian, secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. In her opening remarks, Gramian said that in the 1950s and 60s, equity did not play a role in the decision-making process for building new highways.
When we looked into building a highway system, back then they tried to make it the cheapest way, the easiest way, the path of less resistance. Unfortunately, a lot of times it went through communities that didn't have a voice.
Mayor Williams says it's essential not to repeat those past mistakes. And he says when possible, transportation agencies need to undo the damage done to what he called underserved communities.
Certainly it's important in all of our communities, but most importantly, those underserved communities. I won't just say black and brown. There are communities that are not black or brown that have been underserved. And it is a must that we as leaders collectively neighbor together and partner together to make sure that each person gets those desires, when it comes to quality of life.
Director Omishakin says equity also applies to workforce development. He shared what Caltrans is doing to level the playing field.
Number one of the things we're doing is we're launching an implicit bias training program where every single employee that works for Caltrans, that works for the department, all 22,000 plus people, will go through a training program to grow their knowledge and to grow their understanding of the fact that as human beings, it's okay, it's natural to have a bias, an implicit bias, but it's what you do after that. Do you make decisions, continue to make decisions around that bias, or you open up and say, we can do better? So that's number one. Number two is a diverse interview program that we're starting to ensure that the panels that we have that do interviews within Caltrans, to make sure that those panels, they're not always as homogeneous as they sometimes can be.
And when it comes to building new construction projects, Secretary Gramian says equity plays a significant role in every PennDOT decision because equity means providing equal access to safety and mobility.
Whether it's access to jobs, access to education, access to healthcare, access to getting food, and what is the mode of transportation. So equity is also multimodal. We have to also look into the pedestrians. We also have to look into the bikers who are using that facility. Equity is safety for all folks who are using that system.
Dr. Wilson said he could not have been more encouraged by what he heard during the discussion.
I think they realize that things have to change if we want to get a different result. Not to criticize the past, but to recognize the errors of the past and grow from it, and to be strategic and intentional about that.